subset that communicates with the computer processor and controls interaction with memory. The peripheral component interconnect, PCI bus level 2 HACHI and all accelerated graphics port, AGP activities start which communicate with the processor using the front side bus.
You say that I'm psychotic, but then you like it like that. It's like every time the conversation changes and I want you right back, right back. You say that I'm hypnotic and that I
RAM is a kind of computer, memory that can be read and writing. It is mainly used to save data and machine code. A RAM device permits data to be read or writing in nearly the same amount of time, no matter where the data's physical location is in the memory, compared to the direct access storage device like hard drive, CD, DVD, and magnetic types. RAM media is much faster for data reading and writing.
Subset that manages the basic form of input and output such as USB Universal Serial Bus, Serial Audio Integrated Drive Electronics, and Industry Standard Architecture ISA in a computer.
BIOS, also called System BIOS, PC BIOS, or ROM BIOS, is firmware that is used to perform hardware installation during the booting process and to provide runtime services for operating system and programs. The BIOS firmware is the first software to run when power on. It is reinstalled on a PC systems board. Input or output ports are the connection between the CPU and the peripheral device on a motherboard. There are two complementary methods to perform input and output processes. Memory map, input or output, MMIO, and port map, input or output, PMIO. Alternatively, you can use dedicated input and output processors called channels on mainframe computers which execute their own instructions.
Universal Serial Bus, USB as in industry standard that creates specifications for connectors, cables, and protocols for connection, power supply, and communication among computers, computer peripheral as well as other desktop. There are a great many USB hardware, including several different connectors, of which USB-C is the latest kind.
도는 참을 수 없을 것 같아.
CPU slot. A CPU slot, also called a CPU socket or processor socket, contains one or more mechanical components that provide mechanical and electrical connection between the PCB and microprocessor, CPU. Therefore, you can install a CPU on a motherboard without soldering.
PCI, Peripheral Component Interconnect Slot. Proper component interconnect is a local computer bus for connecting hardware to a computer. It supports all the functions of a processor bus. PCI is usually being called conventional PCI to distinguish it from its successor PCI Express. PCI Express is a high-speed serial computer expansion bus standard designed to replace the older PCI, PCIX, and AGP bus standard. It is a general-use motherboard interface for the graphics card, SSDs, hard drives, Wi-Fi, as well as Ethernet hardware connections.
Accelerated Graphics Ports (AGP) was designed as a high-speed point-to-point channel for connecting a video card to a computer system. Primarily, it was used to assist in the acceleration of 3D computer graphics. AGP is originally designed to be a descendant of the PCI series of connections for video cards.
ISA or Industrial Standard Architecture slot. ISA is a 16-bit eternal bus of IMBPC/80 and similar computers that are based on Intel 80286 and its immediate successors during the 1980s. It was backward compatible with the 8-bit bus of the 8088-based IMBPC largely. There once was an attempt to extend ISA into a 32-bit bus called Extended Industry Standard Architecture, or EISA. The attempt wasn't very successful, and the EISA was largely replaced by the later VESA local bus and the PCI bus.
A parallel port is an interface allowing a personal computer to transmit or receive data down multiple bundled cables to a peripheral device such as a printer. This term is also known as a Centronics port or printer port and has now been largely superseded by USB interface.
You show up thirsty, staring at me like I can do something for you. You lick your lips, you think you're slick. You stalk like I'm a piece of meat. You're trying out and showing off.
A floppy disk controller, for short FDC, is an electronic chip controller used as an interface between a computer and a floppy disk drive. Modern computers have this chip embedded in the motherboard, whereas they were a separate component when they were originally introduced.
IDE, Integrated Drive Electronics Controller. The devices used for connecting IDE, Internet, Firewire, USB, and other systems can be called host adapter. So that IDE controller refers to the host adapter. A host adapter, also called a host controller or a host bus adapter, HBA, connects a computer acting as a host system to the other network and storage devices. CMOS, Complementary Metal Oxide S, Semiconductor, Battery, CMOS battery, also called memory battery, clock battery or real-time clock. RTC is generally a RC2032 lithium coil cell of lifespan of CMOS battery is estimated be 3 years when power supply unit PSU is unplugged or switched off.
A heat sink or a cooling system is a piece of metal that sits on top of a computer chip, such as a CPU, and draws power away from components by letting it rise through a set of fins. Heat sinks leverage a thermal conductor to move the heat into fins, which have larger surface areas, thus disperse the heat throughout the computer.
You say that I'm psychotic, but then you like it like that. It's like every time the conversation changes and
A clock generator is an electronic oscillator that produces a clock signal for use in synchronizing a circuit's operation. Signal can range from a simple symmetrical square wave to more complex arrangements. The basic parts that all clock generators share are a resonant circuit and an amplifier.
This is a power supply. A power supply is an electronic circuit that converts the voltage of an alternating current, AC, into a direct current, DC voltage. It is basically consisting of the following elements: transformer, rectifier, filter, and regulator circuits.
spend a day looking blank.
And keyboard port. All computers have keyboard port connected directly to the motherboard. There are two types of connectors. The oldest one is a special DIN, Dutch Institute for Norming connector, while the newest one is the mini DIN PS twist-style connector. Monk PCs use the PC2 style connectors for both keyboard and mouse, and connectors are marked clearly for different usage.
DIP, Dual Inline Package, is an electronic component package with a rectangular housing and two parallel rows of electrical connecting pins. Next is jumper. Jumper is a pair of prongs that are electrical contact points set into the computer motherboard or an adapter card.